Great. Welcome to Senate Education, Thursday, May 5th at 1:40 in the afternoon. We are going off agenda a little bit. Before we start with our reviews of S283 and S100, we have two guests with us from the University of Vermont. Senator Ron Hinsdale asked that they join us and talk to us a little bit about why they're here today, what they're learning, and a little bit about their experiences. So with that, the floor is yours, and welcome.
Thank you, thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Maddie Henson. I am the president of the Student Government Association. I'm a junior neuroscience major with a minor in international politics, and I am originally from Tennessee and North Carolina. Today, in the spirit of collaboration, which is one of our pillars of our campaign in this year, we're here today to introduce ourselves as one governance body to another. We all have a common goal of making the Vermont experience, whether you're a student or not, an educational, equitable, and fun adventure that will serve you a lifetime. I'm sure many of you are UVM grads as well. As the state's flagship educational institution, UVM's role is to foster the next generation of leaders, community builders, and change makers. This is increasingly important as we face more intersectional and pressing issues such as climate change, racial justice, and most recently, the attacks on reproductive health care. I was recently speaking at a conference for UVM Extension, which is UVM's fulfillment of the land grant mission. And as an Indigenous person, I have a little bit of an issue with how that came to be. But there is a real opportunity for further collaboration and connection from the UVM community to the larger Vermont community. How land grant, as I previously spoke, the expropriation of Indigenous lands was not great. And as an educational institution, again, we have a mission to reckon with that and prove that serving Vermont includes Indigenous people. The infrastructure is there, but the communication needs to expand, hence partially why we're here today. Historically, this visit to you all hasn't always been under the purview of the Student Government Association, but Sarah and I are looking to change that. We want outside collaboration. We want lateral collaboration between different offices, departments, and groups on campus, and for everyone to feel welcome on UVM's campus. And with that, part of our jobs are to promote, model, and maintain what healthy and mature dialogue looks like. Often misused, the word dialogue indicates that there is an equitable conversation happening on neutral ground, and UVM needs to facilitate that for the future. We need to be careful not to other a group, but also create a cohesive space for them to thrive and mingle within their own communities. Just recently had a wonderful opportunity to also speak with Anne Galloway, the editor of the Vermont Digger, and she said something very striking. She said, even when people are lying to you, you have to maintain empathy. And then she went on to further say that a central part of empathy is curiosity, which I think sometimes can be lost if not enough experiential extracurricular opportunities are offered to students. Hence, you lose the ability to empathize. So again, being in a student government association, I have that innate curiosity, and Sarah has that innate curiosity to do better for our community and to make the student experience better.
And so are you the president of the student?
Yes.
And are you the vice president? Yeah. Great.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
And we really want to thank Senator Ron Hinsdale for bringing us here and allowing us to speak to you all today. It's a real opportunity to connect beyond the UVM community and the Burlington community and actually work together with legislators to achieve the common goal, again, of giving every Vermonter a chance at a world-class education within their own state. Again, we are here to stress the playground of opportunity that UVM offers to Vermonters and how the state can support UVM's future ventures in that.
And then I'm Sarah. I'm a sophomore right now at UVM. I study political science and philosophy. I'm originally from Aurora, Colorado. And I just want to echo Maddie and you're from Colorado?
Yeah.
Really? Where?
That's for breathing.
Oh, okay, nice. I just want to echo Maddie in thanking all of you for having us here just to talk to you. And I just want to discuss that, like, when we're thinking about the impact that students can have on their communities, I find it important to explore specifically what that looks like. Students can make the biggest impact when they feel empowered. And empowerment means different things to different students. Some seek fulfillment in research and others experiential learning opportunities. Others feel empowered when their physical and mental well-being is prioritized. As leaders in our state, you have the power to push students to make change in their communities, and you have the ability to support our university in its efforts to give every student the opportunity to grow beyond the classroom. You can support mental health initiatives on our campus. You can build connections with students to get them outside of the classroom and in their fields of interest. As leaders of our state, your support means everything to the students at the University of Vermont. Attending events held by our various identity centers and clubs will be more meaningful than you know. Openly supporting student and staff efforts for equitable livable wages or pushing for Title IX reform can give students the feeling of empowerment that they need to lead to the best of their ability. I know you are all leaders here and within your communities, and you can enable students to be change makers and leaders too. Maddie and I have come here today to introduce ourselves to you and to establish an open line of communication that allows us to support each other however it's needed. We hope that our term leads to a year of change at UVM and in Burlington, and we'd love your help in making that happen. And thank you again for having us here to speak today.
It's great having you here. Why don't we go around the table and introduce ourselves, because there are some deep connections to UVM. And so why don't we start with probably the deepest?
I bleed green and gold. So I went to the University of Vermont, the Grossman School of Business. I'm Thomas Chittenden. I was the faculty senate president before joining this illustrious group. And I know you know this, but Senator Keisha Rohansdale was the Student Government Association president. I don't know if you know this as well. The press secretary for the governor was the SGA president for 2 terms.
Yeah, we've been texting him to get them.
Great. So thanks for being here. I'd love to work with you more in the future.
Thank you.
Hi, thanks for coming. Senator Josh Terranzini from Raleigh County.
Andrew Persick, Washington County.
Brian Campion, Bennington County, and probably equally deep blue and gold over here, green and gold, center lines, green and gold.
Yeah, Greenville. We met. I'm Senator Ginny Lyons, and I represent Chittenden County where UVM sits. And I did my doctorate at UVM and have taught courses many times at UVM, particularly in the natural resources Rubenstein School. So it's great to have you folks here. Yeah.
Cheryl Wickerside, if you want to come.
Is the term, are you just starting a term? Does the term not go to school year? It goes from like spring to spring, or?
Yeah, so we started like 2 weeks ago and we'll go until the end of next April. Correct.
So typically there's a bit of typically there's a bit of a lame duck era between like our election and then the start of the fall semester, but we're again looking to change that and we're doing a lot of planning this summer.
Great.
So you're starting your presidency now,
Correct.
and then you'll do it all next year.
Through my senior year, yes.
Okay, and then do you have to do a lot of campaigning for this?
We were running unopposed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sounds like the
I was in a 7-way race.
Hey, you're lucky.
Yeah.
Well, but do you think that the pandemic has influenced that?
Yes.
Yeah.
The people are not as active.
Yeah. And that's one thing we're working on. I should have stated some of our like anticipated hopes to like areas to work on. So academic equity, expanding peer mentoring, again, communication and collaboration, but also increasing student engagement. And that's again why I think like legislators like you all are so important, is to really show that there is an opportunity for engagement, you know, for political science majors to understand, you know, real world experiential learning. So a pandemic has definitely affected the student engagement.
So, yeah, so you know, sometimes we do get invited, it's mostly by the young Democrats or the young Republicans, depending on the party, and then have an opportunity to meet, but it would be kind of fun to just be there for other reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Have a discussion about democracy.
Yeah.
Oh, who knows what?
Yeah, just coming to our wonderful Identity Club events.
Yeah.
Great.
Lunar New Year and stuff.
How many young Republicans are there up there?
There's 3 of them.
You're making great use of your time.
So I can tell you're both very talented and probably had a lot of choices with regard to where to go to college. Why UVM?
Well, I don't have a very romantic story.
Okay.
Like I said, I grew up in the South. You can't really hear my accent because I'm not down there right now, but y'all probably would not be able to understand me. But I just wanted to live in an area with snow. So I Googled New England schools with neuroscience. I think UVM came up and I really liked it. So yeah.
My grandpa went to Middlebury, so all of the grandkids like have to tour. And I was born in Connecticut, so I knew I wanted to come back east. All my family's out here, and then this was like the school that I just kind of like fell in love with. I got a handwritten letter from my admissions counselor, and then none of the other schools I applied to took the time to like handwrite me anything. And my dad I have two older brothers, and for my dad to be impressed by something from an admissions counselor like, said a lot to me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is impressive.
yeah,
Yeah, that's really terrific.
I had never been to New England before visiting in like 2019. I was like, sure, I'd love to live here. So, yeah.
Well, we're
Yeah,
really
have you
glad you
enjoyed-
decided to make this your home. It's
Have you enjoyed the snow?
I love it. Somebody just
Right.
asked me yesterday, they're like, oh, do you love this spring? I'm like, yeah, it's like great, but I miss the snow.
And they might not brag about themselves, but they are the first female duo since I was a sophomore, so
Oh,
wow.
17 years
Wow.
ago was the last time you had a woman lead both in both positions. And Maddie, you're probably only the 9th woman to be student body president, period, in its 90-year history. And I believe that Maddie is the first woman and person to identify as Indigenous who holds the role of student body president, and already got a $100,000 anonymous gift to create an Indigenous installation on campus.
Oh, that's awesome.
Congratulations. Any other questions or comments for our guests or anything else you'd like to share with us?
Just thank you again.
Yeah, thank you for
This is
having us. This
wonderful
was so
meeting
fun.
all of you.
Thank you very much. The door is open. You know, 2 of your senators are here, but feel free to reach out to any of us with any questions or concerns or ideas in the coming years, coming months. We'd be glad to
Thank
hear.
you.
And I extend the same invitation to you all.
Thank
you. Yeah, come to our office. We have a wonderful office, but we'd love to engage in dialogue or if you have any ideas.
Sorry, I don't have a card.
Yeah.
And you've flown out of the local airport?
Yes.
If you have any concerns or questions about the local airport.
I know you're on the council for that. I think it's gonna be great.
Thank you very much. This is
Thank you
terrific.
so much.
Really great to see both of you.
Thank you.
So glad you're here.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Kate.
On the airport guy up.
It's a great airport.
But we don't know when their flights are delayed.
You gave her
I
your
lost my
card,
bag.
you know, but you're gonna be sitting there texting.
That's all right.
They were great. Oh, terrific.
Too bad they don't live in your district.
I know.
No, the district's been shot down.
I don't feel so bad.
That's right. They did. That's okay. So back to 283, we're still live. What's the pleasure of the Senate? 2025, 2024, stick with 2026. Committee of conference or further proposal of amendment? Senator Hooker.
I appreciate the department needing more time. 26 seems like a long way away, so I would compromise at 25.
Senator Shindon.
I'm expected to have positions on just about everything that's before us, but I honestly could go either way on this.
Sure.
I see merits of all the different positions, so I can't commit to anything, so I just support the collective.
Senator Turnsey.
25, please. Have you heard from the House about that? It's more like if they're gonna agree to 25, then we'll do an amendment, but
Yeah,
if they're like, we
conference.
want to talk about other things, then it's quicker to do a conference. We're
I'm not-
really only have a few days left. But that said, I'm kind of like, I can go either way. I think 25 is gonna compromise. If they can agree to that, and we can move forward. I think it's quick.
What I will do is touch base. I don't think there's anything else they're gonna wanna talk about in the bill. I think this is the one thing. Even if they want 26, I think if our position is 25, we should stand by our position. And given all the conversation around this topic, I think the middle ground makes sense. Senator Hooker.
So what the process now is we offer this further proposal.
We would have further
amendment,
proposal amendments.
And it's up to them whether or not they want to come.
Correct.
I would assume they would accept it. 'Cause it's kind of weird to go to a cross committee over one day for one
Yeah,
year.
for one thing.
And I do think the chair, you know, I can talk to her again, but it is a committee decision, so whatever she says, she'd have to bring back. So I think if we do 2025, you'll do further proposal of amendment on the floor, you'll explain the changes, and we'll ask, I'll ask Ms. St. James, when she comes in, to give us, provide you with a section by section and a revised amendment for 2025. We'll do it tomorrow, then it will be messaged to the House, and they will receive it tomorrow evening. Okay. Anything else on that? Okay. S100. Ms. St. James will be joining us as soon as she possibly can, but given that she's not here, I just wanted to give a couple of updates. I had conversations with the Pro Tem and Senator Cummings in Finance today. They are, basically have their word that there will be PCB funding in the yield bill. So I know that there was real concern about that yesterday, but I feel as though, talking with the two of them, particularly Senator Cummings, there will be PCB funding.
Do we know how much?
I believe it'll be 40 million, but I don't want to misspeak, but we can find that out probably later today.
Will there be language to put a fence around it?
So what I'm thinking might make the most sense is for us to give them the language to put the fence around it in the yield bill. And for our bill to stay PCB free, if you will, and for us to largely focus on the meal piece. I did talk with the chair of Natural Resources and Energy about the single-use service products and school report. He's comfortable with that, but we'll also bring it up in Natural Resources and Energy tomorrow, which really is a pretty basic, simple request to report back next year to say, how can we get, are there ways for us to get away from single-use plastics? My particular interest in that is single-use plastics oftentimes have PFAS in them. They have other chemicals. Senator Lyons, you have been advocating on this long before I was even thinking about these issues. It is single-use plastic we're trying to transition away from in general. So just getting the ball going, I think, on that topic makes sense. Then otherwise, we will have Ledge Council take us through the new version of the bill, which is really a 4-year pilot, if you will, as we talked about yesterday, getting us using federal funds, using all these funds, and then getting us some additional information and see what happens. We are continuing to hear, as we've all said, the governor doesn't like it. We don't even know what the House to do on it, but that's where we're at. Yeah, Senator Kenneth.
So we have a version from Elizabeth that has a new section 8, section 9, speaking to the PCB funds. We received it yesterday, as well as the single-use plastics. Did I just hear you say, though, that we were going to pass out a version without those pieces?
So I would like to have the yield bill carry the PCB language with the amount, and then for us, though, to keep the single-use plastic in here. Please go ahead.
Does this go to finance next?
This would go to the floor tomorrow. We have to pull it off of the calendar. Tell me what you're thinking.
My concern is I really struggled voting out just it without the PCB money.
Okay.
Just because I just think it's very important, as I've heard from so many superintendents, that the money is set aside for that.
I have no problem with that at all. I just wanted to share that, I heard from the Pro Tem and others that they're committed to that, but I have absolutely no problem with that at all. And I'd rather have this go out with a stronger vote than not.
So they're committed to PCBs regardless of this bill passed or not.
That's true.
PCBs in the year.
The dollar amount for,
The
yeah.
dollar
it would-
amount,
it would be, all of this would be funded from the yield bill.
Is your concern that there's no reference to the fact that, we're doing PCBs as well as?
So there is in this version that we got yesterday, and I take everybody at their word.
Oh, no, I know you do.
I think it's important that this be part of a bundle.
Listen, I absolutely respect that and am more than fine with that. Senator Person, would you?
Fine either way, if we have people's word, there's a lot that you better that it's in there, then you don't have to try to trace it down later. On the single-use
Yeah.
plastic language, I just,
Here, and I have paper copies. Sorry, yeah, I've been trying to keep them from the committee.
wait till we vote.
Yeah, you know how I,
Share.
for the record, I hate transparency, so, but since my arm's been.
All
Do I have any
chairs.
papers over here? This is my most.
What?
No, thank you. We're on 100.
Yeah, even put a name.
So like this.
Well, again, I'm not, no, I know. And I didn't mean, I wasn't slapping your hand, I was touching it. No, this isn't going that way. I have not hit Senator Lyon. Right, that's Senator Terenzini.
No problem. If, the powers that be are committed to PCB remediation and they're gonna put it in another bill, I'd like to see it stripped out of this one.
Why?
Why? Well, because,
Oh, you don't want to vote for it? I'm sorry.
yeah, well, I guess I'm very much, as you know, I've been pushing like you have for PCBs, right? I am pretty against, for the reasons I've articulated, the universal meals bill. And for me to vote no for universal meals with PCBs in there,
Sure.
it seems like I'm contradicting myself. Does that make sense?
It does, it does.
Yeah, no, it does. And just so you know, Senator Terenzini, I wasn't putting this in there to get votes. It's just as it sort of
Yeah,
evolved.
I don't think it was a trick or a way to, I understand. We have to find a vessel for these things to get moved in, and this is it, so. But like I said, if they're willing to do PCBs, take it out and let this be a true universal meals bill and let people vote yes or no on it based on the merits of that.
And the other thing we could always do is we could have also a separate vote in committee, just so that people could be on record for not supporting part of it or supporting the other piece of it. So,
Does that screw you?
No, how could that work? How could we have a straw poll vote?
We did that on 456.
yeah, we did on 456, and I think we could divide the question, really, just because the rules of the Senate floor pertain to the committee. So somebody could divide the question and we could vote on it separately. And I'm more than fine with that, and if that's one way that people want to go. But again, we're waiting for Ms. St. James, so I just wanted to get this language. This is the last piece of business today, so, yes, Senator Chicken.
Senator Terenzini, does that seem at all palatable where we would vote on the PCBs, just adding the PCBs to this? You could then vote yes that you support the PCBs, but at the same time, you could vote no on the entire bill because of the universal deals.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that's a fair compromise.
And you can think about it. We'll take a break right now, Daphne, if you'll take us offline until Ms. St. James is